I meant to say hi.
Hi, Paul.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited for this partnership that we've created with Volition to have our very first Young Entrepreneurs Pitch Conference. I mean, it's a really good partnership. I want to share a little bit of information for you with you before we get started, because there are just a few things that we want to cover. So just give me a moment and I will do that. There we go. So what are you going to expect today? Can you see my screen? First of all, I hope you can. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Can you see the presentation? Well, now you can see yourselves because I went back, but you can now see the presentation. So this is what you're going to see for this whole pitch segment. We're going to tell you how you can connect with us, how you can connect with each other. Then we're going to introduce everyone. I should probably start by introducing myself. I'm Dwania, and I'm the founder of Canadian Small Business Women. We've been doing this for probably almost 8 years. I'm a chemist by day, and Canadian Small Business Women is my side hustle, believe it or not. We host quite a bit of conferences now across Canada with the virtual stage that we're on. And we have an amazing resource website for entrepreneurs. Now, for hop-in, can you introduce yourself? Some of you have already started in the chat. Please do it in the stage chat. Let us know who you are and where you're representing, what company you're representing. Let us know a little bit of something about you. So type that in the stage chat because we will be reading. Here's how you can connect with us. We are Canadian Small Business Women everywhere, except for Twitter. We had to change it around a little bit. And you can use the hashtag for today, actually, is CSBW 2020. And you can connect with Volition at This Is Volition on all of their social media platforms. You see, they were very smart with their name selection. I would like to bring Paul up. Now, Paul, I'm going to have you talk about the slide. So Paul is one of our judges. And Paul represents Volition.
Yes, thank you, Dwania. Now, just really quickly, do you want me to introduce just Volition or Volition and myself?
Volition and yourself.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so my name is Paul. I am a 20-year entrepreneur now as of last month, and have about 15 years of fundraising and pitching experience. All of that culminates into me being now a master pitch and presentation coach specializing in investor prep. And I'm also a managing partner and co-founder of Volition. We exist to elevate entrepreneurship through skill-based training, community events, and one-on-one advisory coaching within the global startup ecosystem. So we help entrepreneurs all the time through boot camps, master classes, mostly through programming partners, we love helping entrepreneurs all over the world. So thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you, Paul. So these are the prizes that are going out there for our pitchers, our top 3 pitchers. It's quite a bit to go through, right? There are branding and marketing packages, cash prizes, coaching prizes. It's quite a bit. So this is what's at stake for our pitchers. Now we can meet the rest of our judges. I would like to introduce you to Karen. She's the CEO of Futurpreneur Canada. Karen, if you could just introduce yourself to everyone, let us know a little bit about you.
Yes, thanks, Dwania. I'm Karen Greve. I'm very proud to be the CEO of Futurpreneur Canada. If you don't know us, you are our target audience, all of you pitching and participating today. We help young entrepreneurs age 18 to 39 launch successful businesses. We have loan financing and mentorship that each entrepreneur gets as part of their journey. We partner closely with the BDC to be able to make up to $60,000 per loan available to entrepreneurs. Again, I've been doing this for about 2 years. Prior to this, I was at Mars. I've worked in a lot of different sectors and with startups from the very beginning of my career. So really excited for today and to hear from everybody. Good luck.
Thank you, Karen. And I would like to also introduce you to Kookai.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. So excited to be here. I'm currently an associate at Pangaea Ventures. So we are a venture capital fund that invests in hard tech innovations, so science-based products. So, chemical, biology, that's all a fit for us in what we do here. Just maybe a little bit of debunking around what is venture capital. So we invest for in hope that, eventually you either will have acquisitions or IPO. So that's how we get our money returned back. Really excited to be here. I myself have launched a social enterprise startup before. So I remember way back in the day where I had to go through, different pitch competitions. So, really looking forward to hearing everyone's pitches today.
Amazing. Thank you. So now that you've met our judges, these are the pictures that you will be seeing today. So we have Ghalia from Talkmaze, Marisa from Sock Footage, Patricia from the Homeowner Link, Mylene from Lumaki Labs Inc., Janelle from Fusion Fit Foods, Shanika from Bessie Box. So these 6 ladies will be presenting today. Let the pitches begin, right? It is time. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to invite our first pitcher on. It's going to be Ghalia. Excellent. Ghalia, I'm going to back out. Please remember to turn off your screen share after your 5 minutes, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can everybody see my screen? Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, am I good to start whenever?
I would suspect yes. I don't know. Dwania is in the background, so let's go with it. Sure.
Oh, okay, thank you for confirming, Paul. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ghalia, and I'm the founder and Talkmaze. Let me take you back several years. I struggled to speak up as a child. I was afraid of talking to people one-on-one, let alone speaking in front of a large group. There is no way I could have imagined being here in front of all of you today. Joining the debate team in 7th grade changed my life. I went from being afraid of talking to anyone to confidently speaking in front of hundreds of people. 75% of people are afraid of public speaking. I began volunteering as a coach soon after junior high at my former junior high school, working with 12 to 14-year-olds to help them build public speaking skills. Over the years, the group that I was working with grew from about 20 students to over 80 interested, and we had to start saying no to some students because of the lack of coaching resources. I then also learned that less than 15% of middle schools in my city, and even less in many others, even offer public speaking or debate programs to begin with. And those that do struggle to find the right resources and training to help their students succeed. I knew something had to change. In 2019, I decided to merge my passion for public speaking with my love for business by launching Talkmaze, an innovative digital platform for high-quality public speaking and training across the globe. Talkmaze beta launched on June 8th, 2020. Talkmaze is the only one of its kind. Our vision is for Talkmaze to be the go-to platform for anyone looking to build effective communication skills. How does it work? Connect, learn, and train all on one platform. You can work on your own time using our forum and connect with a global community of passionate speakers and debaters. You can learn on your own time by using our on-demand resources, or you can opt in for live coaching with a professional, either for yourself or your organization, and continue to train to hone your skills with our virtual speaking competitions. You log in and you've got an easy to use interactive dashboard where you can view your coaches, your resources, and your posts. When you're ready to find a coach, you can browse through all of our talented coaches and pick who works best for you. We had over 220 applications from over 30 countries around the world for coaches wanting to be on platform since our launch in June. You'll find the best of the best, the top 10% on our platform. Our coaches have spent the past few months working on building our world-class curriculum so that we can cater to speakers and debaters of all levels. You start with our Explorer lessons, which are for beginner speakers, and you can go all the way up to our Conquer Advanced lessons. Currently, all of our curriculum and lessons are in English, but we've already seen demand for other languages, and our long-term goals include multilingual training. We partner with schools, nonprofits, and other organizations that share our values and vision, but struggle to find the right resources and training to help their students succeed. We also offer private coaching, including one-on-one and small groups. Students can go onto our platform and directly connect with a coach at any time for individualized instruction. Our revolutionary vision and exceptional platform is backed by a strong leadership team. I started my first company, Tune Tutors, when I was 13 years old, with absolutely no business experience or knowledge. I was passionate about the cause, and I let that passion drive my learning. Over the years, I learned a lot through Tune Tutors, and I also joined the Junior Achievement Company program, through which I built 3 different businesses with youth. All of these experiences were super beneficial. I'm now 19 years old, equipped with the skills and knowledge to make TalkMaze a success. I've surrounded myself with 4 equally passionate individuals to make this dream a reality. Together, the 5 of us have over 2 decades of experience with public speaking and debate, and most importantly, every single one of us has experienced firsthand how important public speaking skills are, and we know the value of the work that we are doing. Within our competitive landscape, TalkMaze is unique because we offer an online, all-inclusive, and affordable platform. We also strategically partner with organizations to make the biggest impact that we can. We started off in June with our beta platform, and we had 16 active students then. Over the past few months, with limited advertising and pilot programs only, we're now at a point where we have 73 active students. And we've already delivered 94 hours of coaching with a goal of delivering 1,800 hours of coaching to come. This is only the beginning, and there is a lot more in the future. We're proud to be supported by numerous organizations and advisors, including League of Innovators and RBC Launch. We've also already been featured on major news outlets like Global News and the Globe and Mail. So how can you help us? Do you know anybody who's a school administrator, organization leader, or in a youth group? We would love to connect with them. We're also looking for a mentor who has experience scaling a similar venture, especially in the education industry. Thank you so much. I'll be happy to take any questions now.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ghalia. I think, sorry, Dwania, is it okay for me to go ahead and launch in?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm inspired. I was excited seeing that presentation, and I think as one of the 75%, it's very resonant. Thank you. I'd love to understand the revenue model. I understand the affordability for the participants. It is, in fact, quite affordable. How does the company itself get its revenue? Is it for a share of the hours, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the majority of our revenue does come from a share of the hours. So we pay our coach a certain amount, and then we get the remainder amount from the company. And then also we get revenue through our on-demand resources. Anyone who comes onto our site and purchases those as well. But the majority of the revenue is the share of the coaching hours that we get.
Perfect. That's interesting. And so the partners that you listed, and you've got some fantastic partners. What are they contributing to your success? How does that work?
So the partners I listed, those are kind of different. Those help me more so on the business side. Like for League of Innovators, I'm taking part in their Labs Batch 5 incubator program. So I've had tons of advisors from there. Other partners have helped us through funding. For example, we got a couple grants from RBC Future Launch. We also got a grant from Rural eHub. So it's a lot of different kind of support, and that mentorship is just super vital to have people around me who can advise and give feedback.
Fantastic, thanks. I'll turn it over to my fellow judges.
Kookai.
Awesome. Great. I love that you started with your personal story. Again, it's very resonating, very relatable, very inspiring. So that's really a good job. Also really love the fact that you include the stats in there, how you have 220 applications and you jumped from the customers in June to September. It's like 5 times. So that's really amazing to see. I guess my question is actually around the coaches. I think when it's a platform technology, especially two-sided, it's always good to talk about the other side as well. There's obviously your customers, the participants. I'm actually curious about who are the the coaches. How are you paying them? Are they on a volunteer capacity? So yeah.
It's a really good question. So there's this really, really niche speech and debate community around the world. And these are speakers and debaters who are some of the most passionate and like super experienced. So essentially how we recruit these people are they've been doing competitive debate or competitive speeches. And there are small groups of these people who did have access to these programs. And now they're experienced, they're like in university or beyond, but they can't contribute their skills with an institution. And a lot of these people are looking to share those skills, but they don't have anywhere to go. So we want TalkMates to be the platform where all of these top coaches can now come and actually work with students instead of trying to find these students individually, because that's what's been happening. So our coaches are that we got them through these like recruiting from universities who have debate teams, experienced coaches, and our coaches, like one of our coaches, he literally just won the World Championship of Debate, which is the highest level of recognition you can get in the debate community just a couple months ago. Another one of our coaches has won the World's Public Speaking Championship. And without TalkMates, these exceptional people do not have a platform to share their skills. And so that's really our goal with TalkMates. And they get paid. They get paid for all of the work that they do, whether that's hourly or contributing to our curriculum development.
Great. And I guess just a recommendation point. I think it's amazing. The platform itself is amazing. I would love to be a participant or a customer. But I think in terms of the market segmentation, it might be helpful to, explain a little bit further. We have the packages for students, who are on the debate team, or, you said the private coaching that seems to be more for anyone. So, that kind of, puts, I guess, a little bit more of targeting and specification around, who's your first target customers first, where you'll win and then you'll expand further. Because I think it's really important as well. And presentation to end off with what's the vision going forward. Here are the things that you need, as in what you're asking for the pitch today. But I think it'll be helpful for us to understand, here are my goals for the next, months or so that I love to achieve.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely something to add. We're definitely focusing on more so like our initial focus is any organization that works with 12 to 18-year-olds so that we can target that and then expand, of course, to other people who also need to build public speaking skills.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul.
I would love to ask a question, but Karen and Kookai did an amazing job. They asked exactly what my questions were. So I'm actually good. I wish I had one because Ghalia did an amazing job. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ghalia. So we will get our next pitcher on board. And our next pitcher will be Marisa from Sock Footage.
Hi.
Hi.
Bye. Okay, just going to share my screen here. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Yeah, okay, sorry. Flip back between both screens, so sorry about that. Okay. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. I really appreciate the opportunity to pitch. My name is Marisa, and I'm the founder of Sock Footage. So after working for a sock manufacturer, I learned that socks were one of the most needed but least donated item to homeless shelters. Unfortunately, homelessness in Canada is a real problem. With limited access to housing, 235,000 individuals experience homelessness every year. And as the months get colder, proper foot care is crucial and can really be a leading cause in some of the issues facing homelessness. My company, Sock Footage, is a unique sock company with a one-for-one giving model, which gives consumers the option to be physically present in the donation experience. So for every pair of funky socks that you buy from us, we actually give you a free pair of donation socks to give back to someone in need. How do we do it? We partner with existing sock brands that are already in the marketplace to incorporate our social give back component. So we've been able to connect with different charities to support the needs of their clientele through these sock donations. How do we differ from other brands and make ourselves stand out? We give our customers two options. They can either have us donate their free pair of socks on their behalf to one of our partner charities, or they can engage in face-to-face giving. We have witnessed firsthand that being physically present in the donation experience has the power to change both the lives of the giver and the receiver. And we feel that this is a missing component and touch point from most of the other traditional one-for-one giving models. Customer engagement is our #1 priority. Our business is built on community and connection. And for that reason, we created our #PayItFootward initiative. As you'll see from this video, what we require or ask our customers to do when they're purchasing socks and deciding to donate them themselves is to create footage of before and after highlights of their donation experiences to be able to share to social media to hopefully encourage other people to get involved in giving back and spread awareness about the reducing the stigma for the homeless community. In this particular video, a customer that was based in Miami had requested that they ship the socks out with the order. And so he went around the community donating socks to homeless individuals. You can see more of this video, which will have audio on our IGTV. There are 4 different categories to our business. The first one is our website, sockfootage.com. The website really illustrates the different components to our business, both the one-for-one giving model and gives updates on the brand. You can visit our sock shop for crazy styles, including everything from wine socks to bacon and eggs, and we cover ladies, men's, and kids socks. Another part of our business is our sock subscriptions. So we offer them for women and men. And as part of the monthly subscription plans, we ship out 2 pairs of surprise novelty socks accompanied by 2 corresponding donation pairs. In this case, you also have the option to have us donate your extra pairs on your behalf. We've also created exclusive pop-ups. Pre-pandemic, we were hosting quite a few events at different office buildings to help spread brand awareness. We were invited to set up shop at businesses like Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, and Regis, to name a few. The last component is our charitable sock vending machine, which has been a personal passion project of mine. The sock machine is currently located at Upper Canada Mall and is being piloted there. It was originally launched into Ryerson University last November. When you approach the machine to buy a pair of novelty socks, a second pair of donation socks will drop simultaneously and free of charge. You have the option to donate on site to a plexiglass donation bin that's attached to the machine, or it's based on the honor system, so you can take those socks away with you to give out face-to-face to someone in need. Here's how we've grown in 2020. We've been lucky enough to increase our traffic to the site by 250% since the first quarter of this year through various digital marketing strategies. As a result, online orders have increased by close to 400%. With placement in 2 key locations, we've been able to increase brand visibility and drive sales from the vending machine to the site. Entrepreneurship is hard. It takes dedication, perseverance, and a passion to never give up. As a solo entrepreneur, I need help. Since my strength is actually in sales, I was looking for a dedicated digital marketing individual to help with day-to-day tasks and hopefully help me with time management. I'm also looking for someone to assist in advising me on strategy so that I can scale up my business model. Thanks again for the opportunity. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and please follow us on social.
Wow, that was excellent. Thanks, Marisa. Really inspiring. I love the social purpose of what you're doing, and the fact that you have identified this problem, which I didn't know about, to be honest, and are making a difference with it. A question that I have is, your website obviously is such a great place to drive traffic to, but you're working with these established brands. Have you looked into having a page or some sort of link from your partner brands for customers to go to find out about stock footage?
So I have had actually quite a bit of press. I've been lucky enough to have that. And so with that, the partner brands have been assisting on social media or things like that. We tag each other. So when the machine launched at Upper Canada, for example, Yo Socks stepped up and tagged us because they had some of their socks in the machine. We have looked at doing collaborations. Eventually, this is sort of a down the road initiative. I would like to start manufacturing my own socks, but the business has only been in existence for just over a year. And so in terms of just figuring out the management of inventory and things like that, before I sort of take it to the next step, I wanted to make sure that I understood sort of the framework of what was necessary before I started manufacturing myself. Because as you can imagine, minimums come into play, and then all sorts of other things like design. And I'm not currently designing the socks myself. So that has been good and bad in certain ways, but you know, I think the next obvious step is to start manufacturing under my own brand.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. So I would love the bacon and egg socks. That's amazing. I'm going to check it out
for women,
afterwards.
men, and kids.
Yeah. So, you know, I actually think, so in terms of the presentation, I love how you started with the fact that you worked at a stock manufacturer before. That's sort of like a hook that I look for in a pitch. You know, it's kind of like, why you? Because you had this experience before. You already have the relationships with the manufacturing facilities before. So that's, you know, sort of, yeah, makes it more easier for me to understand, you know, why you're the one that, you know, can execute this mission. Also really love the business model that it merged, you know, the giving experience with the lifestyle. One questions that I had sort of throughout the presentation was, you know, what is more than just, you know, buy one, gift one, you know, sort of business model. And I, you know, see that you have the vending machine, which actually, I thought it was a really great idea. So, you know, so that was really great to see that, you know, you have the option to, you know, drop in the stocks that you would like to donate, you know, in the box. It's kind of like a trusting system, but still, I think it's more, you know, you're doing more than just, you know, that model around like, you know, buy one, gift one, and so on. So, not a question, but a recommendation in terms of the traction. I actually would love to see more numbers. You talked about, you know, 400% increase in online presence, but actually I think it would be great to know how many stocks you've sold or how many stocks have been donated. I think the impact numbers is actually really important to sort of, you know, get that impactful, you know, sort of feel around, we've already supported, you know, X amount of, you know, people that, you know, don't have access to stocks today. So that's, I think that would be really helpful. And, you know, you mentioned about customer in Miami. So it seems like you have, you know, you know, Canada, like you ship globally. So that's sort of like the things that I was like, you know, it'd be really helpful to have in the presentation. And I think in the end, as always, I would love to see the big goal. What's your big vision? Like, do you hope to see, you know, the vending machine, you know, in X amount of countries or X amount of, you know, universities or places? I think that would be really great to kind of just get that, you know, ending of, wow, this is your big vision.
Thank you. Yeah, the vending machine is currently...
So I guess, yeah, no questions for me.
The vending machine is currently being piloted. Unfortunately, because of the timing of the pandemic, it launched into Ryerson University last November. And just because of the nature of the school times that it closed, I didn't have like a good read on, you know, the success of the initiative. And then once the pandemic hit, unfortunately, Ryerson is closed and has moved all their fall classes online. So I did have to sort of play around with what I was going to do. And so I ended up moving it to Upper Canada. And that has been great so far. It's been steady sales in the machine. And so the eventual goal after sort of piloting it for a specific amount of time would be to scale up the number of machines to new locations. Obviously, now that we're in this situation and things begin to lock down again, at this time, it doesn't make sense to go that route. But once things begin to open up, I'm 100% confident that that will be the direction. Thanks for your feedback.
Paul, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I want to actually tell with what Kookai was saying, and I think that it's extremely important probably to really find a way of showing that impact portion. As much as I love seeing and hoping that people are going to be honorable, it really, I think your business probably really depends on showing how much impact there really is. And I wonder about maybe making a more direct relationship in terms of connecting with shelters and organizations that probably work more directly with the homeless or underprivileged. And I also wonder about even underrepresented communities as well, like Indigenous communities, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think there's and that's all to say, I don't mean that as a negative. I mean, no, of course. I think there's a lot of opportunity, but I'm wondering if there's a more, if it's advantageous to go more of a direct route, because then you can probably directly correlate and track that impact. And I think Kookai is totally right. I mean, that's such an important aspect of the business. I know there's there's a company in the US, which you probably know, called Bomba Sock, something quite similar. And they do an incredible job at showing the amount of impact and the percentage of impact that they're having. And that's not to say that you should be fearful. I just think that's a good comparison. And then you got me thinking, because I was like, I think there's also room maybe for masks to be another thing as well. I don't know if that's something you've considered, but if you are, let me know, because I have a friend that has a mask company in Vancouver that called Mask for Work that I'm great. Like that. Anyway, I'm not trying to force you to that's fine. It just got me kind of inspired. So good thing. I was very inspired, but I think that impact piece, I just wanted to echo that even more. Kookai did an amazing job, but I just thought it was really important. So I wanted to kind of tag on to that. So yeah, thank you.
So I should mention that when you check out at Cart on the site, you have the option to either have the socks donated to one of our partner charities. So we do work with, our main partner is Ve'ahavta. They're the Jewish humanitarian response to poverty in Toronto. And so the socks, anyone who opts to have the socks donated on their behalf will donate directly to Ve'ahavta. But then, you know, in contrast to most one-for-one giving models, so Bombas is a great example, they don't allow their consumers to then go out and donate the socks themselves. They donate just on your behalf. And to me, there's that touch point or impact of seeing the person on the receiving end and having that feel-good moment that I think is just so important when you're donating. Just as an example, I've had a number of situations. So early on when I launched the site, someone had ordered socks and decided to get the donation socks and give them out with their kids. And they ended up giving them out, and their kids had such an amazing experience that they separately then organized an initiative to collect supplies to put together 120 care packs, and then gave them out with different families that had been involved in that initiative. So it's kind of this domino effect of giving, and that's sort of what the Pay It Forward movement is all about, is that some people are just hesitant to step outside of their comfort zone. They're not really sure how to approach a homeless person, or they don't feel comfortable. And something that I wanted to mention in the presentation, but was limited by the 5 minutes, is that homeless people only hear their names 4 times a year. So when I tell people that as a stat, you know, it's really impactful that, you know, all it takes is going over to someone, even if you have nothing to give, just introducing yourself, telling them your name and asking them their name, because honestly, that little moment is sort of what my company is built on. So thank you so much for the feedback.
Awesome.
Wow. Thank you, Marisa. Thank you very much. So we are at the halfway mark, everyone, the halfway mark. And let's stretch our fingers a little bit. I am interested to know what piece of advice you would give to an entrepreneur just starting out. Type it in the chat box. Let us know what piece of advice you would give, or a good piece of advice that you've received as an entrepreneur that you think, you know, other entrepreneurs should kind of pull in from. And while you're typing, I just have to give a little shout out to some of our sponsors, because all this could not have happened without some incredible sponsors. So thank you very much to the Women Entrepreneur Knowledge Hub, Songbird Marketing, Women's Enterprise Organizations of Canada, The Smart Woman, Benzi's Lounge, Prestige Interactive, The Urban Camp, Bryn Bamber. Those people have really helped us get this event together and made this event kind of, you know, rolling. Let me check the chat to see what everyone's typing. Celebrate every single small or large win. That is true, because there are some days where you can only celebrate the small ones, and the small win might be sending one email. That could be a small win, and you have to celebrate. Don't try to do all things. Outsource some services. Get a mentor. Yes, yes, and yes. Mentorship is very important. And it doesn't have to be mentorship in a traditional sense. So think outside the box when it comes to mentorship. Remember, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. That's something that I feel like every parent had to say to their children. Nothing worth it comes easily. Being an entrepreneur can really be lonely. It doesn't have to be. Co-founders, mentors play a huge role. It doesn't have to be a formal relationship. That is true. Favorite quote, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? All right. How do you get a mentor? There are so many ways to get a mentor. We got to talk. Okay. All right. That was our little break. We are going to bring up our next person. We are not at the halfway mark yet. I might have lied. Now we're going to be at the halfway mark. We're going to bring in Patricia. I promise you all I can count. Let's get Patricia in. Hi, Patricia.
How are you?
Hi, Patricia. I'm leaving.
Okay, bye. Set up here. Can you guys see my screen? It's just us four still? You can see it?
No, not yet.
Oh, sorry, no, not yet.
I got a thumbs up. Okay, hang on.
Yeah, you got a thumbs up because I was excited to see you. I'm excited for your pitch. Sorry about that, Patricia.
Oh, good. It's not coming up, even if I choose the application. You guys still don't see anything, right?
No.
Mm-hmm. PowerPoint's not working, so I'm going to pull it up in Canva, which is where I designed it, because I know that I can do that. So just bear with me just 1 second. You will see my entire screen and all of my tabs. Let's see here. Will this work? Can you guys see this? Can you see this now or no?
Yes, it's in the midst of coming up. It's there now.
I'm not able to see anybody anymore, so here we go. I'll pitch this.
You're not in presentation mode yet, though. For us, it shows that you have to. Oh, there we go. I think it's just a delay. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Patricia. I'm the owner and founder of the Homeowner Link. We've the first handheld staging service app for realtors to use, while simultaneously acting as a lead magnet revenue stream for home staging companies. So with my husband as a realtor and myself owning a home staging company, I found that there was this huge gap in how technology was used between the two industries. So I began asking myself some questions. Why isn't there a tool to assist with interactions, to help generate leads, and to show homeowners that realtors really are, in fact, on top of market and technology trends? And finally, how could I bridge this gap? It's because of these questions that I designed and developed the Homeowner Link app. The Homeowner Link app is designed to be a digitally based service where realtors can request staging services directly in a listing presentation, and home staging companies can bid on these staging projects. We have both in-home and virtual options available in the app, which allow us to meet the needs of any homeowner in today's market. Our team does consist of myself as the owner and founder. Paul is my technology lead, and he communicates with our development team, who's located in India. And Allison is our sales lead. Her responsibility is to chat with our beta group. To date, we are near completion of development with our app, and our beta launch is actually beginning next week in Kitchener-Waterloo. We will complete our beta testing by the end of January. We plan on entering new markets across Ontario in the wintertime here, and will remain in beta and launch virtually across Canada in March, followed closely by the United States next summer. By doing this, we're able to capture more realtors and home staging companies who see value in the platform. According to Gary Keller, technology is rewriting the rules of business in the real estate world. Traditional brokerages are becoming a thing of the past. Business is now being conducted really differently in the marketplace. The Homeowner Link app fits seamlessly into this new way of business. So our app focuses on two main revenue streams. Our first main revenue stream is our paid membership. Our membership fee is $19 per month per user. In addition to our membership fee, we have an in-app bidding service fee on every transaction that occurs within the app. This fee ranges from 10 to 20% based on the experience of the home staging company bidding on the project. In our testing phase, 15% of realtors that we contacted immediately identified as being on board to take part in our beta phase. Our small test group will focus on fleshing out any challenges of the app while collecting valuable insight and information to make the platform usable throughout the Kitchener-Waterloo market, as well as other markets. In year one, we are estimating our income from membership in Kitchener-Waterloo specifically to be around $86,000 and $85,000 from secondary bidding fees. We do have a break-even point of 19.7%. So based on our test group, we've been able to identify that 15% of realtors are immediately interested in using the app and testing the app. Carrying this over to our 1,900 real estate agents located in Kitchener-Waterloo, we are able to identify that 285 realtors will be using the platform in month one. We do anticipate a 5% growth rate per month while using the app based on our marketing and initiatives of partnering with real estate associations, brokerages, large teams, as well as continuing our inside sales, engaging with potential clients. So in the coming months, we are intending to complete our beta launch and launch across new markets similar to the Kitchener-Waterloo market in Ontario. So these new markets would include Hamilton, Oakville, Toronto, London, Ottawa, and Barrie. In addition to this, we found that launching a virtual-only option will allow us to scale faster and grow more rapidly across North America. So this will be coming to Canada in March and the United States next summer. Understandably, we do have some competition in the market. Our main competition, though, is that of the relationship between real estate agents and home staging companies. Our advantage is that we have the ability to act as a virtual-only option for real estate agents and allow that virtual component for home staging companies to increase their revenue in the virtual world. The possibilities are honestly endless with how we can grow and scale this app in today's market. As part of our retention strategy, we'll be rolling out new and updated versions of the app every few months, with things such as third-party payment financing, one project membership fee, and full user branding in the app on future versions in the app. We do intend to be consistently evolving and staying on top of market trends, understanding our clients and delivering above their expectations to establish us as the go-to handheld staging service app for customers using the platform. In the coming months, I am looking to grow and scale across Canada and the United States while consistently developing the app to meet the changing needs of the market. At this time, we are looking for partnerships and networks with real estate companies, associations, and brokerages, and are looking for find opportunity in home staging and real estate networks to achieve our increased market exposure. So I will open it up for any questions, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation.
Well, thank you. And I think one of the surprises for me of this COVID period has been how places are still moving, right? The real estate business is booming, which is not necessarily what I would have expected. But as everything goes virtual, I think it's really interesting to see this virtual approach and solution. I guess the question that I'd have, and it's kind of a question wrapped in a suggestion, is it feels like you're trying to go really big from the get-go, you know, nationally and then internationally within 6 months, and lots of different partners. And I guess my question is why? Like, did you think about staying either within a couple of partners and scaling geographically, or staying within one geography, but with multiple partners within that geography? Like, what's driving the push for scale and change? Because it's a lot that you're taking on.
Yeah, so the main thing is that throughout the last several months while I've been building the app, I've been finding that I have a lot of people who are interested in the States contacting me saying, hey, when is this coming to the States? When is this coming to the States? And I want to be able to capitalize on that. So our testing phase is located here in Kitchener-Waterloo. And when I do expand, I'm going to be expanding to similar markets in that we here are a technology industry city. So similar markets like the insurance market in Hamilton. So we're going to expand into those markets because they're very similar to ours. But we do plan on expanding across Canada because of all of the people who've been contacting me specifically asking when it's coming to their area. And I want to be able to capitalize on that and give them this opportunity to be able to use a platform such as this. And I find that this is the perfect time for this platform to be coming out in the industry, especially with how fast the staging, the real estate industry is moving in terms of using technology. So I want to be able to be there with them as they're growing. In terms of associations and brokerages, my goal is to connect with more of an online brokerage such as eXp Realty or Keller Williams International to be able to partner with them and have their agents all use it. So that's kind of the expansion partner on that that front.
Interesting. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. Patricia, I love your passion. This could be my lack of understanding of the real estate market, and you move a little fast for me to kind of, grab the whole concept here, but it could just be my lack of understanding. And I think that's also one of the things too, not all investors understand, all the markets that you're going after. So maybe a little explanation in the beginning would be really helpful. I actually don't really know what staging service is until I kind of Google searched a little bit here that, you kind of need to stage the home before you make the sales. But, so my question was around what's the handheld service staging here that you're doing? I think it would be great to kind of just go into the details here. I think ultimately, for me, I don't need to understand, all the markets that I'm investing in first, but I just need to understand what problem you're solving. So in order to understand that, I need to understand what's being done today and why there's a gap here. You mentioned, there was a picture with your husband and yourself, and you said there was a problem. I was like, okay, great. Like they have the experience in this, but I didn't quite get sort of the problem around sort of, the solution that you're solving here. So that was just a little too fast for me to understand. And it's just really my lack of understanding in the real estate, market. You mentioned there was a slide around sort of the traction being, 15%, that are interested. I think it would be great to, elaborate a little bit further. That's sort of like the hook slide. That shows that, you've done sort of the proof of concept here. I think it'll be great to understand, like, why they're interested, and the rest that are not interested, what's the plan to kind of capture that? It's not exactly saying everyone's interested. You're saying, hey, there's a niche here of the people that are interested, and they're interested really because, there's this urgent problem that this niche group of people, really, really need to solve. So that I think would be helpful.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I mean, the niche group of people are, what I'm finding through my research, people who are on board with our beta testing, they're interested in being innovative with their businesses as well. And a lot of the industry market leaders right now, and I did want to mention this actually, industry market leaders right now in the real estate industry are saying, if you're not adapting, you're going to be left behind. So a lot of consumers and homeowners are looking for the real estate agents right now who have adapted their businesses and what they're doing to protect their businesses and going on in the future. So that's kind of, that's not a little bit, it's a whole, it could be like, you know, an hour conversation on how the market's leading, but that's kind of just touching base.
Yeah, I definitely understand this. Like, you know, it's a big problem you're solving here. I think what may be helpful is perhaps, you know, just a different bullet points on how you're making their lives easier. You know, just A, B, C. I think that would be, you know, for me, I would understand that if I place myself in, you know, sort of the customer's shoes, the persona, then I would understand that, oh, okay, that's the need for that. So yeah, but really, really great job. I love the passion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I feel like it's Kookai and I are like on literally the same level here, because she she keeps saying the things that I'm like literally exactly thinking. But I guess I wanted to summarize that into, I think that potentially for future pitches, I would maybe recommend positioning it from like, what is the status quo? I think that's what ultimately was kind of missing through the whole thing to tie it together, because you were kind of telling us like, oh, but this is the future and this is how I'm going to change it.
Yeah.
But I think we kind of missed along the way what the current status quo is, and maybe it's because it just went by so fast at the beginning. Slowing down at the beginning and saying like, and I love the idea of using maybe yourself as an example story of like, yeah, look, I wanted to buy a home, or no, we wanted to sell our home, and to do that we need to stage the home, and the current way to do that is really tenuous, and you have to find somebody, and and just kind of slowing that down a bit and telling us what the status quo is. And also remembering that status quo is also how people get paid. So what, you know, I guess what I'm missing is I don't know what the current revenue model of how people are doing things now. I assume they hire a stager, it's some sort of fee, but I don't know how much that is. So is it advantageous in some way for them to go through your platform? Does it save them time, costs, all that kind of stuff? And so I just didn't have that comparison, as it were. So I saw all the advantages you had, but I didn't have the comparison as opposed to what necessarily. So, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, I would just recommend maybe try to find a way of slowing down a little bit. And that might have to do with structure and flow as well. So just kind of looking at how you tell that narrative story, and yeah, should be good. Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I'll take that into consideration.
Okay, thank you so much, Patricia. Okay, we are going to invite Mylene on next. And remember, at the end of all the pitches, you're going to have your chance to vote for your favorite pitch. And the winner of that is going to receive a prize pack that's worth almost $1,000. So pay attention and be ready to vote. We will have the voting open at the end of the final pitch. So we're going to bring Mylene on right now.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. I'm going to go now so that you can share your screen.
Can you guys? Perfect. It is no doubt that the students of today fuel our future. However, academics alone are no longer enough to prepare students for job readiness. 3 in 4 employers say they struggle to find students with the skills they need to thrive, and a whopping 75% of hiring managers did not feel confident that recent grads were well equipped for career advancement. Internship and co-op opportunities are a key to help solve this problem. However, not all students can easily access these opportunities, and as much as companies would like to hire more students, many simply do not have the capacity or the resources to do so effectively, especially with the shift to online.
companies that do run virtual internships now face unique challenges, like gaps in communication, decreased socialization, and a lack of engagement. Companies like Ripen and Jumpstart try to solve these problems. However, many of these competitors serve more as a channel to reach students rather than as an enabler to help companies bring on more interns and foster mutually beneficial experiences. Some of these companies also profit off of students, which can often pose as another barrier to entry. At Lumaki Labs, we decided to approach the problem differently. We are on a mission to revolutionize the future of work through engaging virtual internships. Our solution entails a 2-in-1 virtual recruitment and onboarding platform, and by focusing on the remote internship space, we can open more doors for students and offer more flexibility for employers. On the recruitment side of the platform, we help companies find grants and tap into diverse talent pools. On the onboarding side of the platform, we've reduced the time it takes to set up intern onboarding and increase intern productivity by allowing employers to store all materials in one space and manage tasks. Companies can use either side of the platform or both based on their unique needs. We also place a heavy focus on our customer and user experience by providing the hands-on support they might need to craft or improve their intern experiences. We believe that our simple yet effective technology can become an increasingly powerful tool in a world where virtualization has taken us by storm. As a company offering a hybrid solution that sits at the intersection of education and enterprise resource planning, we can tap into those markets sized at $89 billion and $24 billion respectively. And with the focus on virtualization as a result of COVID-19, these numbers will continue to surge upwards. Our business model is a B2B SaaS model that scales as our customers grow with us. We use a subscription-based pricing model that allows companies to purchase additional user licenses or storage. We also work with schools to get our solutions in the hands of employers. Our go-to-market strategy entails piloting our solution with early adopters, then using those outcomes to attract companies as well as post-secondary schools to be able to deliver this solution to massive networks of employers. As a company that has only started working on this idea in April of this year, we have already gained over 300 early signups, launched the onboarding side of our MVP, onboarded our first pre-pilot company, and we've also taken part of the LOI Labs Accelerator, the Epicenter Venture Women Program, and now the world's largest pre-seed accelerator, the Founder Institute. However, this is just the tip of the iceberg. In 2021, we begin larger scale pilot projects with up to 100 users and anticipate a full release into the market as we grow our team. We're a small team of ambitious students. However, we work that to our advantage. As a student-led team, we have the drive and the firsthand insights to help employers tap into student potential that can unlock our future. For us, internships have been key to our personal growth and development so far, and we want to make that more accessible for students and employers alike. As my team and I continue to grow, we seek additional funding and connections to help push us to the next level. The additional funding will help us scale our operations and grow the team, as well as cover the cost of servers and legal expenses. The additional connections will help us gain more visibility from schools and employers across North America and globally. With how fast the world has changed this past year, this is an opportunity for us to be deliberate in what we want the world to look like coming out of this pandemic. This is an opportunity for us to rethink the norm of education and trailblaze new paths. This is Lumaki Labs. Join us as we revolutionize the future of work through supporting employers and schools as they support students. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That was really inspiring, and I could definitely see what the need is. What I didn't see, and I hope I'm not stealing Kookai's question because you've helped me think about this aspect of the pitch, but I'm curious what your personal connection is to this initiative. Like where did the idea spark?
Yeah, so this is actually my second venture now. The first venture that I was working on was focused on empowering young women in STEM. And I really wanted to take that idea further and find a solution that would help more students. And with everything that happened with COVID-19, as students, like all of us, as you probably saw in the deck, we're all University of Waterloo students, and we're very, very privileged to be able to have such a strong co-op system. Not all schools have that opportunity for their students. And so we wanted to make that more accessible for students, especially in a time where remote work is really flourishing right now. So really, we wanted to be able to provide this opportunity for students who, want to work at those bigger tech companies or want to work at some companies that they might not have in their own hometowns. And we've been so lucky to be able to do so. And we've been so lucky to be exposed to these different opportunities that we really want to give back. So I guess like tying it more to like my personal connection, the two companies that I actually interned at prior to this one were edtech startups. And so it actually really inspired me in this space. And so it really gave me a lot of knowledge that I could carry forward now making my own edtech startup.
Great. Thanks so much. That's really helpful.
Awesome. Great job. Super catchy statement, by the way. All the things you said, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like a really great tagline. It's like rethink the norm of education and several phrases that you mentioned. I was like, wow, really, really catchy. I guess just a question, do you have sort of like a targeted industry you're going after, like, business students, engineers, scientists, like it's all like, there's several sort of super technical, roles and responsibilities, but yeah, just wondering about that.
That's a really great question. So we've actually been thinking about that a lot as we've been trying to figure out our go-to-market. We've been doing a lot of research around like what industries to tap into. And right now we're really looking towards more so like the technology and like STEM fields. So even like marketing, design, those types of fields of work that are already kind of used to being in a remote setting, just because it's easier to ease into that. Another kind of interesting thing that I kind of briefly mentioned in the presentation is we're also hoping to partner with schools. So we've conducted a lot of customer interviews with different sized companies, as well as like career service departments at different universities. And the schools are finding that a lot of the employers are also struggling to bring on more interns. So that's also a part of our go-to-market, where we want to be able to partner with these schools as a way to tap into their larger employer networks and distribute that to who they think needs it most, and to really be able to hire on more students. So I hope that answers your question.
No, really great. And I'm just wondering another question, because you mentioned about partnership with schools, and I understand that, different schools have already that career services and somewhat like a platform where they have sort of, the students sort of, profiles for employers, prospective employers to kind of tap into. Is this sort of like, do you think that you're replicating that a little bit, but with better engagement with the employers, or how do you see yourself differentiated from that? Because you talked about the competitor slide with other startup companies, but just wondering in terms of competition with the schools, are you supporting and competing in any ways?
We definitely don't want to step on any toes of what systems the school already has in place. We really want to be more of like a complementer. So I mentioned that our platform is a 2-in-1 platform that employers can essentially enter on any side. So let's say they already have all the recruitment things in place, they can just use the employment side. So the way that we've also been building out the platform right now, so we are a very small team, but we've only built out the onboarding side of the platform because, with the recruitment side, you face the chicken and egg problem where there's the student side that you have to get a bunch of students on, and you also need to get a bunch of employers. So by starting with the onboarding side, we're kind of building our credibility with some of our early adopters. And then from there, once that's successful, we can then look into if the recruitment side makes sense to then release.
Great job.
Thank you.
So I apologize if I missed it somewhere. But I heard you say in the competition slide that the competitors, I mean, they are, but they aren't, are I guess, profiting off of the students. And it got me thinking about like, what is the revenue model for Lumaki? And I apologize if I missed it, but maybe it went by too fast for me. But yeah, I'm curious what the revenue model is, because the whole thing seems to be based on kind of customer success principles, but the students are your customers in that sense. And then of course, obviously having your partner or your supply side, right? So I'm curious, how do you make money? What is the revenue model as it were? And how do you scale that up to keep it sustainable?
For sure. So in terms of our business model, we see students as users and we see employers as the customers. So we follow a B2B SaaS model where essentially they'll pay an annual or semi-annual or quarterly subscription based on the number of user licenses. So for example, the employer, there's probably hiring managers, there's probably HR specialists that are involved in the whole internship process. So they can pay for user licenses for those individuals, and they also pay a smaller price per student to be on the platform. And then the way that we scale that is ideally, again, we want this to be a solution that grows with these companies. We're targeting more of the mid-sized companies that don't have fully fleshed out internship solutions. And so we want to see them scale their internship programs. And so we do so by basically allowing them to have more storage on the platform, because they get to upload all of their onboarding and internship materials in one space. So obviously, as there's more interns, there's more materials. And so we kind of scale up through those different verticals as well.
Schools potentially act as their supplier to stock the shelves, in a sense, right? If you think about like a two-sided marketplace, like stocking the shelves, filling the aisles. So I guess that's the whole point of the schools on that side. So you're not charging, maybe I missed that. Are you charging the schools at all? Or they're just a supply?
Yeah, I'd say there's two different ways to frame that. So I think for most schools, they will just be like a supplier to tap into other employers, which is more of, again, like that strategic partnership. But in terms of what we've found is a lot of schools actually also run unique programs where they do like specific matching with like a subset of employers and a subset of students. And someone at the university has to manage and kind of facilitate that whole additional like subset special program. So we've actually been working with some of those groups to pre-pilot. So in that case, the university would pay to have this tool kind of ease some of their pain points there. So there's really two sides there. There's the partnership, and there's also those that have kind of those special programs where they do the matching and the onboarding themselves for their employers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Mylene.
Thank you so much.
So up next, we are going to have Janelle from Fusion Fit Foods. I'm going to wait for Janelle to pop in here. I'm just checking in. In the meantime, I guess it would be kind of cool to find out where everyone's from. Type in your city in the chat.
From is such an interesting question. From currently, from in the past.
Oh, where? Let me see. We're waiting for Janelle. I wonder if we can switch it up. Is Shanika available? Until Janelle might be having some technical difficulties. Shanika is available. So Shanika can do this. Yay.
Hi.
Thank you.
I am so happy to pop in.
All right, awesome. I will leave so that you can present, and then I'll see what's going on with Janelle.
I'm definitely going to do what everyone else did in terms of, can you hear me? Can you see my slide deck? So bear with me while I figure this out.
That's okay.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
And see me? Amazing. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to see it looks like my entire screen actually. Okay, I think this should be good. You're all going to see yourselves for a second. I promise it won't be, I promise I have a deck. Okay, and do you see my deck? Perfect. All right. So my name is Shanika, and I'm one of the founders of Bessie. I'm coming to you today to tell you a little bit about my business and then also where we're at. We are in the middle of our pre-seed raise right now, and our goal is to raise $400,000 to further develop our technology. So starting off with how I came to Bessie. Bessie started with a really honest and transparent conversation with one farmer. He spoke about the struggles he was having with getting his product to market, and a lot of it came down to supply chain issues as well as, like I mentioned, going to market. So we thought kind of boldly, why not we just buy the whole animal outright from him so that he can focus on raising animals correctly, getting paid well for it, and not having to go to JBS and Cargill. So that one farm and that one animal has grown, which brings me to where we are at right now. There we go. So what do? We help farmers get to their customers. As I mentioned, we have grown. We work with over 9 producers right now, and through our direct-to-consumer channel, we have done over $300,000 in direct sales. Through that, we learned a lot, specifically about software and automation, and we focused extremely hard and heavily on that to build it to be stronger, which brings me to where we're going to on December 1st. We're taking our software and our services directly to the farm to pilot a project that will result in us selling our SaaS to them. All right, so let's take everything back to the basics. You have a great product from natural farming that comes from a simple supply chain, you have better margins, which can then be reinvested into creating an exceptional customer experience, and most importantly, a scalable business. And what do we do? Well, commerce and logistic tools are not built for farmers. I love Shopify as much as the next person, but there's so much more that goes into getting food from one place to a place where it's ready for a customer, and we do it all. How do we do it? Well, we focus on 3 things. First thing is product. We take bulk product, break it down into sellable SKUs while retaining incredibly important and vital information. We then map our software to their customers, whether it's directly through Shopify or through invoicing for wholesale or food service. We then wrap everything together with food safe operations that include a cold value chain as well as a branded experience. When you bring product, customer experience, and operations together in one place, you can manage all of the sales channels. And this is where our software really shines because we have an answer for inventory, customer service, and scheduling. Our software equips farmers to do more. As I mentioned, they can harvest more. They can take these big bulk products and break them down into sellable SKUs. They can scale their customers through our integrated CX. And most importantly, they get better margins from these direct relationships. Our services feeds our software. And the best example I can give you is through our direct-to-consumer channel called Bessie Box, where we sell our farmers' products. In just over a year, we have an annual run rate of almost $500,000 and a monthly recurring revenue of, actually it's edging towards 20,000. And more importantly, we have over 50 customers that have spent more than $1,000 with us. With that high lifetime value, as well as customer experiences like this that you see from the reviews, it's proof that the Bessie software as well as experience is working, and we want to take that directly to the farm and their channels. Which brings me to our pilot. As I mentioned, we're taking all of our software and services directly to our largest partnered farm, Pine Haven. We're so excited for this project for many reasons. The first being that Pine Haven is about to open their federal processing facility. This means at capacity, they'll be processing 9 figures of meat a year. And the second thing is that they came to us. They saw the success of Bessie Box and asked us to manage their inventory, customer experience, and fulfillment. As I mentioned, this project is kicking off in 2 weeks. And this is my team. So the team is made up of Alex, myself, and my other co-founder, Spencer, but I want to highlight our advisors. We have one advisor, Andrew Chow from Skip the Dishes, and we have 2 advisory boards. One is filled with B2B marketers to help us take this pilot through to commercialization. And the second is a customer advisory board filled with other B2B businesses who have already expressed interest in the software. Lastly, to come back to what I'm here for, we're in the middle of a pre-seed round and we already have a commitment from Andrew. Our goal is to take the majority of the money towards building more software and getting more talent to support us. So if you're ready to change the food system, I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you. Really inspiring. You said 9 figures for this one meat supplier. That's quite extraordinary, actually. That's really amazing. I guess I think I may have missed this, but the origin story of this. I mean, I definitely get the challenge, but where did the opportunity, the origin story, come from for this?
Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning, but it just came from the right conversations around food and with one farmer. So there's 2 versions I tell. One of the versions is that Alex and Spencer are actually people I went to university with. They were in a different degree than I was, so we kind of met through a few parties. And if you had told me 6 years ago I'd be running a business with them, I would have told you were lying and laughed. But the heart of the business, there was a farmer that thought, hey, can I get better margins by going directly to consumers? We met with him, had a ton of conversation around food, and that made me fall in love with the business because I saw that it was a real problem, especially being from Alberta. Farmers are the backbone of our province, and really understanding that problem is what made me fall in love with it.
Interesting. And obviously you're looking at a lot of different kinds of customers. Is there a sweet spot? Is there sort of the ideal customer that you are targeting?
Yeah, so on the B2B SaaS side, like I said, we've been running this for about 1.5 years now, and we've learned a lot about what we can work with and what we maybe want to pass off on. So an established brand, a mid-sized farmer is important to us just because then they'll understand the processing, have the quality behind the brand as well. So that's who we're aiming for. With that being said, the brands that have expressed interest, if I got into specifics, someone like Noble Premium, they do bison, but then also kind of ironically, Impossible Foods, who obviously does vegan food. So there's a lot going on there.
Wow, interesting. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very inspiring story. I love how you started the presentation, about honest and transparent conversation. I think I get the problem statement, here from the farmer side and the customer side as well. So I would love to buy, local foods, but it's just, either if I go to farmer's market, it's sometimes expensive or sometimes it's just, not as accessible. So I get why customers would love to go on your platform. I get why farmers would love to work with you directly. I think what lost me a little bit here is around the solution, actually. So I actually hadn't gone on any of the pitches websites prior to this because I wanted to, hear this fresh. Yeah, but I actually was kind of, would love to understand more actually around sort of the solution. What's like, you mentioned about selling SaaS to farmers. So, I think it would be great to actually, show that maybe on the presentation as well around, what it actually looks like, the customer's journey from, farmers' perspectives, as well as, my customer's journey as well. And you mentioned a little bit in the beginning that, you would buy like, everything from the farmers, or at least that was like sort of the original starting point. So just to, wanting to understand that sort of like the supply chain, because I think it's kind of important to see the customer journey and the supply chain journey.
Yeah, great feedback. When I meant the whole animal, I mean, quite literally the whole animal. We bought the organs and all, which once again, we learned that maybe that wasn't the right fit. So we still buy extensive parts of the animals, just a bit more selective on what we purchase. On the SaaS side, I agree. Talking a bit more about their journey is important. It just comes down to the fact that farmers are not equipped with the ability to go direct to consumer, and the supply chain as it exists right now, it's farmer, stock operation, auction, then feedlot, then slaughterhouse, then to a processor, then a distributor or wholesale, depending, and then a grocery store and consumer. With Bessie, it's from the farmer to us and then the consumer. But then with our software, it would be the farmer to the consumer.
Yeah, I think sort of showing that at least how you shorten the journey, I think is really important, because that's really impactful, you know, just from the impact perspectives as well, not having to go through, you know, the multiple steps of, you know, shipping things around or whatever, different people in sort of that, you know, supply chain, and shortening that. I think that's really important. You also mentioned about, you know, like each customer or 50 customers spent, you know, more than $1,000, you know, on your platform. I mean, that's an amazing stat. I would include that number on the presentation. Okay. Also, very incredible investor advisor, Andrew. I mean, that's amazing to see. I think you've got like such an amazing traction so far, but I think, you know, maybe in terms of the presentation, and it's because I hadn't gone on your website before. You know, I think perhaps like, you know, showing that, you know, what the product actually looks like would be really helpful. You know, it's just, that was the only missing point here. But, you know, really incredible traction, really incredible sort of problem statement, just sort of the solution.
Thank you. Paul, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. So I have a comment and I have one question. So I do love that you guys incorporate a lot of your branding into your presentation by rights. I get it. But, and I guess my cat has some comments as well. He's very persistent.
Hey, it's COVID. Honestly, that's the part of it.
So he, I love the branding. I guess, you know, there's something to be said about having some visualization, though. You know, the fact that you're dealing with food, and food is very colorful. So it almost be. It'd be very awesome to have some pictures of food, I think. I think that just maybe will build more of a connection with the audience, because when they see the actual food, all of a sudden I go, oh, food. It's not so cold as in a software solution. It's like, this is actually dealing with my food, right? So just when you see it, I think it'll build more of a connection with the audience potentially, as opposed to just a cold software solution. That's just my feedback. Doesn't mean it needs to be all over the place, but even just a couple slides that had maybe some pictures of food as well incorporated. And the question I have for you is, so I'm trying to figure out how best to phrase this, because I don't want to be the person, I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, but how do you scale this? What I want, but what I'm curious about is like, how do you scale this? Because it seems like it'd be a very long, tenuous process to get each, what do you want to call it? Supplier, I guess, as in farmer. And that can take a long time. How do you grow this and scale this, I guess is my question.
Yeah, it actually doesn't, just because we already work with 9 farms that have expressed interest. We're working with Pine Haven first just because of the size. I know that, I think what you said about having more context is beneficial, and I'm recognizing that now. But if you're in Alberta, federal facilities are impossible to come by if you're not Cargill or JBS. So the fact that one of our partnered farms actually has it is the largest and sticking point for us. So we already work with farmers that are already interested, but then also within the food space itself, like I said, the fact that Impossible Foods has reached out and is interested, that's how we would scale. I do believe that the first customers post-pilot would come from that customer advisory board that we've built already, that's built with these farmers, but then also just producers in general that are already interested in this business. And then if we were to scale, Alberta is the greatest place to do it. There's so many farmers. And then from there, we'd likely go towards BC actually and look at fisheries and see how we can scale through there.
Got it. Lots of farms, I think. So
yeah, actually one of our competitors got started there. So
cool.
Oh, wow. Great. Thank you, Shanika.
Yeah. I will leave.
So we are going to try to get Janelle on. She was just having a little bit of technical difficulties, but that is what we deal with in the age of technology. She's going to try to pitch from her phone because something's just going wrong with her computer. So she is in the backstage area. I'm going to see how we can get her to let's see if this works for her. She will be our final pitcher for the day. And then what we're going to do after this is we are going to give you a peek at all of the pitches from the semifinalists so that you can see, you know, what, one second. Okay. I don't know, I can't share while, oh, I might, let's see. But Janelle, can you please request to join so that we can see you? I will see if I can share while you're on screen. Okay, I have your pitch. I just need you. Anything fun and exciting going on with you judges for the weekend? Everyone's staying home, right?
Yeah, despite, we actually have really nice weather in Vancouver, right? Well, at least in Burnaby, I assume in Vancouver as well, since we're right by each other.
Mm-hmm. It's really nice today.
Oh, it's chilly outside, I'm sure.
It is chilly.
Ah, yes. Janelle, we see you. Well, we don't see you, but you're here. We just need to see you. I am going to see if I take my video off. Nope, I can't share. Paul, I'm going to exit. If you can try to share Janelle's deck, because I don't believe she can. Once I leave, that would be great.
Janelle, we are sending you positive vibes for perseverance.
Sorry.
Here, I just.
Oh, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. I'm just wondering how come I'm not able to. Yeah, I'm not able to share my screen, unfortunately, for some reason. I'm on my cell phone.
Paul's just trying to bring it up, Janelle.
Okay. Really sorry about this.
Oh, it's the digital experience. Good luck with your pitch.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience.
Okay, I think you're good, and you'll just have to sort of let me know when to switch slides.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. And thank you, Karen and Kookai, for your patience. I really appreciate it. Yes, so good afternoon. My name is Janelle Jordan. I'm the founder of Fusion Fit Foods, where we want you to live your best fit foodie life. You can change this next screen, please. Some people indulge in comfort food snacks as a guilty pleasure, starving of quality nutrition, while others prefer to snack without the guilt by eating healthily, yet still feel starved. Our delicious and nutrition plant-based protein bites, Proteinalicious, solves this snacking conundrum by fusing Caribbean Asian flavors plus immune protective adaptogens, delivering both flavor and function, a part of a healthy and tasty snack routine. The next slide, please. Snackers' regular eating of comfort and junk foods, and even more so since the pandemic, have unhealthy fats, refined sugars, and loads of salt in only one serving, and is void of nourishment, leading to issues from weight gain, fatigue, or low-grade depression, to an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. Where more and more Canadian consumers are looking for transparency, whole foods, and real ingredients in their snacks, snacks like protein bars and bites in the market include unpronounceable ingredients that are largely fillers and preservatives to keep them shelf stable, consumption of which can be toxic to the body over time. And the lack of ethnic health snack foods within the market has led to not only a severe underrepresentation of cultural diversity, but also lack of flavor diversity. Having the same traditional flavors across many brands leads to flavor fatigue, which is a real thing, known as sensory enervation or palate fatigue, or taste bud exhaustion. The loss of desire, tasting the same foods and flavors over and over again, leads to boredom and mindless eating. Next slide, please. In July 2019, we created our first signature product, Proteinalicious, which are gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, preservative-free, plant-based protein bites made with all natural ingredients that are low in sodium and naturally sweetened, but elevated with purposely selected adaptogens. Adaptogens are non-toxic natural herbs used in Chinese medicine for centuries and used in today's North American natural medicine as a preventative approach for our bodies to adapt to stress and to preventively support the body's immune and energy systems, which we all need during these times. Consumers are becoming more health conscious, trying to avoid unhealthy snacks, shifting their attention towards more health supplements and whole foods and snacks into their regular routines, including protein bars and bite snacks. And to satisfy this demand, we have 4 delicious and nutritious flavors, yet all have the one same fusion cuisine concept, a hybrid of Caribbean and Asian flavors plus adaptogens in our lineup, which includes turmeric, amla berry, goji berry, and beetroot. Next slide, please. The North American protein bar and bites market demand is seeing consumers increasingly replace their meals with snacks, with 95% of consumers snacking at least once a day, or 30% being considered as a super snacker who snack more than 4 times a day, with most turning towards diet and health-friendlier snacks. This is combined with consumers seeking more convenient food options, especially with the pandemic driving more individuals to work, snack, and buy online groceries at home, which helps to explain why the current North American snack industry is worth more than $4.6 billion and is forecasted to reach more than $7 billion by the end of 2027. And we can supply this burgeoning market demand, first targeting Toronto and the GTA, which is why we have adopted both a business to consumer and business to business model. Having made a pandemic pivot from being a vendor at pop-up markets in mid-2019 and early 2020, we now created a COVID-proof business currently selling Proteinalicious on a Shopify e-commerce store and at a convenience store in North York, which is an essential service that will remain open during any current or future lockdowns, and confirmed plans to be on an online grocery retail store in December 2020. Next slide, please. Fusion Fit Foods has been fortunate to have seen growth and momentum in the following key areas of brand awareness, community collaborations, and business partnerships. We've gained more than 1,100 organic followers with no ads on our Instagram and Facebook platforms. We're actively participating in the curated box community, including with Canadian Women in Food. We're involved in online collaborations and sponsorships, such as one-of-a-kind virtual show, Gifts of Goodness holiday baskets, and York University's Women Empowerment Club, to name a few. And we recently branched out into the podcast world with Drizzle Media, a mobile-first audio app hosting chefs and food creators making recipes to home cook audiences. Next slide, please. Our unfair advantage. I'm a nationally accredited personal trainer and nutrition specialist with more than 10 years experience, and I have a personal and professional passion towards embracing and promoting a holistic approach to wellness, which includes mindful and healthy eating, exercise, sleep, and stress management. I've also been fortunate to participate in the first ever Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce Ethnic Food Incubator Program, which will serve as an important milestone in Fusion Fit Foods' traction into the traditional grocery retail space. And lastly, I'm a self-proclaimed proteinaholic, meaning that I've tested and tried almost every protein source, bites and bars for way more years than I care to share. So protein bars and bites will continue to muscle its way into the Canadian consumer market. And I believe my product is a viable, innovative, and immune, metabolic boosting, healthy protein snack solution that it tastes anything but. And it's potentially a first of its kind adaptogenic protein snack in Canada. Proteinalicious will fill the gap in the market and awaken people's taste buds once again. Next slide, please. And as the proverbial professional student who loves to learn, I'm truly coachable and always ready and willing to take on multiple roles to get the jobs done. So because of this, my ask is to receive mentorship in sales and scaling, marketing and branding, and pitching, and perhaps maybe even like IT after this whole situation to deal with that. With all the ultimate goal to be strategically positioned to pitch perfect in front of potential investors who believe in me and the brand, and to scale the business into more convenience stores and into independent grocery retailers across Toronto in 2021. Thank you for the opportunity to convince you to start living your best fit foodie life. Thank you for your time, and I welcome your questions at this time.
This is fantastic. Thanks so much, Janelle. I love that you're a self-described proteinaholic. I have a 16-year-old proteinaholic at my home who is an aspiring, very competitive rugby player. So I think I am a future customer of yours.
Oh, yes.
This is great. And I want to comment. I love that you differentiated what you want to get from your mentors. So
sorry,
I love.
I think my connection is affected now because I can't hear you now.
Okay. Can others hear me?
It's very choppy.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's better now.
Is it better now? I will speak right into the laptop,
yes,
which is
thank you.
the very unusual but increasingly familiar thing that we're all doing these days.
Yes.
So Janelle, I love that you differentiated what you're looking for from mentors, so that you know that it's not necessarily one size fits all. There are different aspects of this. I guess a question that I have is, as you identified, it is such a crowded market.
Right.
There are so many things out there. How do you see differentiating this and kind of catching people's eyes, catching people's imagination, and being the protein source of choice, the tasty protein of choice for people?
Yes, it's a good question. And it was fortunate for me to be able to participate in pop-up markets in 2019, because this is where I got the direct consumer feedback who can give me advice. For example, originally I was going to go with using New Zealand whey protein powder because that's the top quality whey protein powder that's out there. But then speaking more to people about the plant-based diet, the importance of having grain-free, soy-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, all those led up to help me make the decision to now switch to essentially vegan protein only. So in terms of differentiating, I really truly believe the flavor profile too is very key. I know that the taste, based on what people have told me, it's very unique, and I keep getting amazed when people say that. It's really warming to know that people really haven't tasted anything like this. But more than taste, it's actually the functional benefit of the protein by itself, what it actually has in it. It's actually herbs that are designed to help you improve better. There's over 30 different types of adaptogens. I've chose 4 that have been mostly well studied and well researched within the market and used most often. That way it can reach a greater audience and target broader issues ranging from anti-inflammation. All of them have antioxidants. Others have benefits for sports and muscle recovery. So things like this, which I feel like it's not just having a tasty treat, it's also functionally helping you to perform and feel better as well.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great. Janelle, you've done an amazing job remaining calm and confident despite the technical errors. So great job to you. That always gets to me, by the way. Like personally, when there's technical errors, I'm always like, oh.
Yeah, I really appreciate all your patience. Thank you so much.
Of course. So I love actually the market segmentation. I think, you've done a great job actually laying out, this super snacker, this average snacker, and so on. I actually really like what you commented just now around the functional benefits of your products. So I think, my recommendation points actually was to maybe include around sort of the impact and the numbers. So for example, things like 1 bite of my protein, or, taking 1 ball of the protein is equivalent to having XYZ. Or, you can even include like grams of protein in there. And you mentioned about, targeting plant-based eater as well, vegetarians. You can even say things like, if you're a vegetarian that may be lacking sort of the protein intake, you can take 2 balls of my protein per day in order to complement that. It's also really delicious and, nutritious and so on. So, I think around sort of that piece would really, sort of explain sort of why this product, out of all the others to choose from. So yeah, around that sort of impact piece, I think it would be really great. I think this would be, in terms of the presentation, would love to see the products more. Since it's around sort of the products and the snacks, would love to see like the texture that is inside it. I think that visualization around the products is really important here, since it's, food. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Hi, Janelle. Thank you. So
Hi.
I know that your ask wasn't for investment, and I apologize ahead of time, because I always kind of have an investor skew when I'm thinking about my feedback or questions. And I just wanted to kind of put this out there, because I think it's almost always important, regardless of investment or not. But because this is a physical product, one of the things that's almost always super important is cost versus margins. So, I would really encourage you to work into any kind of longer pitch, especially like 5 minutes and beyond. What are your costs and what's the margins? How many are you selling? Revenue to date, if you're able to share that. Things like that are really good as well. Like the pitch itself was impressive, and what you've done is impressive. I don't want to take away from that. But I think that just adds an element of like, look, it's being sold. Here's our margins. We know how much we make. So therefore, if we sell this many, we make this much, right? And it just goes an extra step to kind of like legitimizing or validating the business in a sense that this is something that's great for people, but also a great business that's sustainable and scalable. And then to that point, I'm going to do a little shameless plug that one of your asks was for sales and scaling help. And coincidentally, Volition is hosting a sales and scaling workshop shortly after this. So I would highly recommend that, because what I literally just talked about, that whole sales revenue engine, Colin McWhinney, who is doing that workshop, will be actually teaching exactly how to build that out. Anyways, a little shameless plug, but I think it's useful for everyone. It taught me a lot, and I've been doing this for 20 years when I hear him teach it. So, but definitely including those costs, and especially when you've got like wholesale plus retail, what does that look like in terms of margins and revenue production?
Okay, thank you so much for the feedback and for helping with the slides.
Thank you, Janelle. I'm so happy that you were able to get in.
Yes, thank you so much, too, for your patience and help. I appreciate it.
No problem. And another target market of yours are people who are too lazy to make their own protein balls, i.e.
Okay. I'll sign you up.
My protein balls look like cookies, and are cookies, actually.
Oh.
And have no protein whatsoever. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm happy that you call them protein balls anyway. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. We have come to the end of the pitch segment, but wait, there's more. Before the judges go off to deliberate in their little secret area, I just want to share a little something with you all. Just bear with me, please. You're going to see my screen doing something? Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Hopefully you do.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Woo. I just want to go through the rest of this lovely deck here, but let's wait until it loads. No, that's not where we want to start. Don't we love technology? I have to give a little joke. So the first time we did the very first conference, virtual conference, back in April, I was so excited because I was having an event, a full-scale event, and I didn't have to pack swag bags, go to the venue early, do all kinds of things. I just had to show up and sit in front of my computer. And then my charger broke. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just saying how easy it is to do a virtual event, and then my charger broke. but it's okay. We made it through. And now I've learned to have, I have multiple computers just in case. And I have 2 chargers for my Surface just in case. So everyone, the audience favorite vote is up. If you click on the polls tab at the top right-hand section of your screen, you will be able to vote for your favorite picture. So please do vote there. And what do we have coming up next? We have a couple of workshops at 3:30. We have Candace Huntley from Songbird Marketing Communications, and we have Colleen McWhinney from Volition. And then back to the main stage at 4 o'clock, where you'll get to listen to the government information panel. There are some upcoming events that Volition has coming up. Coming I don't know if you want to take it away on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, virtual or not, I mean, we're coming up on, what's it going to be? Probably Isabel will probably know better than I, but I think it's like 16th or 17th virtual event coming up. But it always reminds me that, we say, oh, technical challenges, but as somebody who pitched and has run pitch events for years, and events like that in the industry, 19, wow, okay, Isabel says, so that's incredible. But it always reminds me that I can't tell you how many technical challenges there were in person as well. Like, oh, the screen won't come up. Like, I remember we had an event at Mobify about a year ago, and like we couldn't get the screen to show the slides no matter what we did. And we're sitting there with like 100 people in the room, like they couldn't get this projector to show the slides, or when the mic just stops working for some odd reason, even if you change the batteries. Like, yeah, it's always going to happen. But kudos to everyone for pulling through, and Janelle as well for making it happen regardless. That shows a lot of resilience and perseverance. So good work. So yeah, back to our events. So that being said, I want to actually focus first on our event on December 10th, because I mentioned Isabel has corrected me that we're coming up on our 19th virtual event. But that being said, in December, we're actually doing our 100th event total. We started doing our pitch events in January of 2016. Including women's pitch nights, and very proudly are going to be celebrating 100 events in December. So we invite everyone to join us. It's for the high cost of free. And what we've done is invited 11 of our pitch alumni who have pitched with us over the years and have had progress since to come and show their stuff. And there's going to be door prizes. There's going to be some fun, some virtual drinks and celebration. So we invite everybody to join us there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then for anybody who might be looking for talent, I'm a bit biased because I'm an instructor at Langara College here in Vancouver, but I teach in the Web Mobile Design and Development program. And every term we have a big student showcase where they present their capstone projects as if they're real businesses. And it's an amazing opportunity. We have a group of judges. They're all from companies like Traction on Demand, Pivot and Pilot, and other great companies. Last 7 students got hired from the event. It was amazing. And so there's incredible talent there of designers and developers. So if anybody in the room is looking for people, it's a great place to scope out. And then last but not least is we host our pitch masterminds. Our next one is on December 15th, where Melanie and I, my business partner, help companies in a closed door room and provide them feedback and help them to improve.
Wow, awesome. Thank you, Paul. Thank you all for helping to make this pitch segment happen. And what we're going to do is have you all go and deliberate, and I will show everyone the videos from all the semifinal pitches and network and all that good stuff. And I'm gonna sneak in some soup for lunch and then I'll be back at 4. So thank you.
Thank you. Huge luck to all of the founders we just heard from. Honestly, I'm feeling very inspired. This is such an exciting way to spend a few hours on a Saturday, and such different businesses, and huge luck to all of you.
Awesome.
My name is Rachel Bartholomew, founder of Kookai Health. When I was diagnosed at the age of 29 with cervical cancer, I started to experience all the lifelong implications my diagnoses and treatments were going to have on my pelvic health. This included constant pain, total incontinence, and lack of lubrication, just to name a few. And when I reached out for help, I realized I was accompanied by over 300 million women who are experiencing similar symptoms with their own pelvic health. Using my experience and listening to the thousands of voices of women, I came up with the idea for Kookai Health. We create the first connected pelvic rehab device for women experiencing pelvic symptoms across multiple diagnoses, from menopause to postpartum, from cancers to gender reassignment surgeries. Our device tracks real-time information from multiple sensors and mechanical functions to help doctors, therapists, and their patients keep track of progress remotely and adapt their treatment plans while providing more effective, comfortable rehab experiences. Follow us as we help reduce the stigma around pelvic health, all while creating a product that takes care of women's health when they need it most. Thank you.
Sam & Lance helps you take the guesswork out of ethical shopping. Hi, I'm Laura. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sam & Lance.
I'm Veronica, co-founder of Sam & Lance. Sam & Lance is an online ethical marketplace featuring goods that are only made by women. We have over 800 products and 70 suppliers. We also offer a quarterly subscription box where people can learn about ethical products and have them delivered straight to their door.
My sister and I started Sam & Lance in April of 2019 and decided to name it after our grandmothers, as our company is all about women empowerment and we wanted to have it named after two strong, amazing women. Sam was the initials of my paternal grandmother that she would sign on the bottom of every embroidery and cross stitch that she would make. And Lance was the nickname given to my maternal grandmother from her brother after he came home from the Second World War as an ode to his ranking in the Army as Lance Corporal.
Between the two of us, we have an MBA and undergraduate degrees in fine arts, marketing, and international development. We've held jobs in sales, marketing, production, fashion, and advertising, and started previous businesses. We've traveled to over 75 countries and have lived in 3. By combining these experiences and learnings and our passion for empowerment and helping people take the guesswork out of ethical shopping, Sam & Lance was born.
We are in touch with every single one of our suppliers. We vet them personally and make sure that they fit our values. This part of our business is the one that's going to be the hardest to ever replicate for others. This makes us unique, this gives us a personal touch, and it allows us to easier share these stories of these amazing brands and these amazing women with the customer. The other part of our business that is incredibly important is philanthropy. We give a portion of our profits to charity every year, and we also plant a tree for every order. Most of our suppliers as well also donate to their own charities, so our customers are getting an additional benefit of purchasing with us.
Target market and our community that's involved with Sam & Lance is a empowered woman who is a conscious consumer and really cares about her purchasing power. She knows that giving back and giving to small businesses, women-owned businesses, is so important. We've bootstrapped this company from the beginning, but we have huge plans for growth over the next few years. Since last year to today, we have grown over 600% in terms of sales.
Through our next phases of growth, we are hoping to focus more on education. We already try to educate our customers as much as possible on shopping consciously and shopping ethically through our Instagram and through our other social media feeds. We want to also start a small consulting section of our business. We want to help some of the smaller suppliers become more eco-conscious than they already are. There are opportunities out there, and through our time in this industry, we have learned so many different tips, tricks, and it can give a lot more advice to these people who are just starting out.
We are so passionate about this business, about this cause, and about all the women within our community that we would be so, so grateful if we were able to receive this grant in order to keep doing the work that we do and to support women, support sustainable practices, and just continue to educate and empower others.
Hi, I'm Myra, co-founder of Altex. Altex is a biomaterial startup creating high-quality, sustainable textiles that are biodegradable and carbon neutral. Fashion is one of the most polluting industries on the planet. But with the rise of conscious consumerism, sustainable fashion brands are growing by 500%. But despite